Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Penny Dreadful Season 1, Episode 1. So many years ago, I kept hearing about a show called Penny Dreadful and how awesome it was. And I'm just like, well, what is that? And then I saw that Eva Green was starring in it. Now, I love myself some Eva Green. She is one of my all-time favorite actresses, and she is one of the greatest actresses of like all time. There's just something about the alluring stare in her eyes that like it mesmerizes you. It's almost like it's hypnotizing you. She's so good at that. And I've seen her in plenty of stuff. The first time I ever saw her was in James Bond Casino Royale. And oh my God, I fell in love with her like within like seconds of her performance and stuff. She's just that good. And then, like, so I saw her in Camelot, which was actually a good show. It's sad it got canceled after one season. Some people said they didn't like it because it didn't feel like a traditional King Arthur story, but it was an adaptation, and stuff. And I wish they had more magic, but they didn't. They did magic parts, the only thing that really bugged me. But that was a good show. And then, so, I saw her in that Johnny Depp movie where he's like a vampire. And Michelle Pfeiffer's in them. Dark Shadows, is it called? I forgot. It's been a long time. That wasn't a very good movie. That was a strange movie. It should have been a whole lot better than what it is, especially with the huge cast it had. And then, so, like, I saw her, of course, in that movie called Womb that I reviewed many months ago that totally grossed me out. And then, so, like, I'm trying to think of anything else I've seen her in. I don't think, oh no, wait, I did. It was some medieval movie, I think. What's that? Hercules, something like that. The one with Brad Pitt, I think. I don't know if she's in there or not. I saw something with her in it. Anyway, and then I saw her in Penny Dreadful. So I was like, yes, I get to watch like another TV show that's actually lasting a whole lot longer because I was watching, I had Netflix and stuff. And so I'm like, I get to see her in something else. And then so like, but before I ever watched it on Netflix, I was on YouTube. And this is around the time YouTube or TV networks and stuff started showing their pilot episodes on YouTube for free to get people interested in and seeing what they think about it and, what they should do for the rest of the series. And so I watched it. I'm just like, whoa, this is awesome, man. And what made it so awesome, the pilot, because here's the thing. The pilot episode is the only episode in the entire series I like. I could not finish that series. I just couldn't. Because what intrigued me so much about the pilot was I've never seen vampires during like the 19th century. I've never seen vampires like around the time of like cowboys and pistols and horses and carriages. I've never seen that, and it was so intriguing to me. And I'll get into a little bit more about why. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is cool. I get to see like a vampire show in like the Wild West, it's in London and stuff. And then the rest of the season didn't really focus on that. Then like Frankenstein's monster showed up, and I was just like, what direction is this show going in? And then she had like some kind of like, she was like possessed and everything and acting all weird. I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on. And I'm just like, where are the vampires at? So halfway through the first season, I just stopped watching. I just gave up entirely on this series. And I'm thinking about trying to get back into it. Maybe I'll start with season 2. But they say the vampires show back up in season 3, so who knows? And then the show had a spin-off that only lasted one season. And so, like, yeah. I really loved the pilot, but I just wish it would have kept the vampires and stuff like that. But, so that's the only reason why I'm going to review this episode and this episode only. I have actually no idea what happens in the rest of the series. Like, I really don't. And stuff. But it was just this pilot. It's like, it really, like, it spoke to me. Because when you see, like, horror movie monsters, like zombies, vampires, There's all kind of stuff. Like it's normally nowadays it's depicted in current day times, like either the 20th or the 21st century. And so like, and of course it's been done to death. But it's always a treat when you see it in a different time era, if only it's done right. I remember I tried to watch Jason X, thinking to myself, oh, okay, the cast seems cool. He's in the future. It's like horror meets sci-fi. What could go wrong? I got halfway into that movie. I'm just like, I'm done. I'm just like, what is this crap? Like, what is it? You know? And so, like, I just couldn't take it no more. And so I'm thinking, but when it's done right, like say, like in the olden days, it's cool. Because think about it when you watch a movie monster in current times. You got cell phones to communicate with whoever you need to communicate with. You can research stuff at the like click of a button on your smart device. The weapons you can use are way more advanced now. Now you have things that create fire at the flick of a switch. You have like guns that have like clips of rounds and rounds of bullets and automatics and stuff. So you're just like shredding like your monster. You have cars and motorcycles that can just go at high speeds, and you have TV and the news to keep you current. But think about it back in those like old Western days in the 19th century, because this show takes place in 1891. Think about it back then. Let's pretend and say there were monsters and stuff back in those days. One, you're not going to be able to get the word out to the rest of your country or even the world because there is no TV and there is no radio. And like even back in those old days when something would happen, say like an election, any kind of election, like presidential election, right? Back in them old days, they had to get the word out through newspapers. So after the election was won, it would take many months for the rest of the country to even know who won and everything, because they had to get all those papers out through like train. It took a long time. Then you have horses. You know, horses don't go as fast as cars, and they tire out, and they could get eaten by a monster. Their guns back in those days was just like an old school revolver, like pistol, 6 bullets at the most. So you constantly had to reload, and a monster could eat you by then. And you know, like, and your light source, once it gets nighttime, you had to have a candle light, and if it blew out, then you're screwed. And then even if you did have a candle light, it doesn't light everything up. And you know, it would have been so much more difficult to like defeat like a monster back in those days. And that's what's so intriguing about having movie monsters back in the old days. And that's what intrigued me about this pilot. And I assumed the whole thing was going to be like that. And so I was very disappointed when it wasn't. So I remember when I heard the name of the show, Penny Dreadful, I'm thinking to myself, okay, the main actress, Eva, must be playing a woman named Penny. Nope, she's playing a lady named Vanessa. Why? Because, see, back in the 19th century, like the 1800s, in England, they used to have like a series of books called like Penny Dreadfuls. And basically what that is things that go bump in the night. So you had all kind of monsters. You had your Frankenstein monster, your werewolves, your zombies, your vampires, your witches, you know, your banshees, and just like all kind of stuff. So those were like really popular back in those days. And then, so that's what the title of this show is about. And it has like all these different like monsters and creatures and stuff like that. And so now let's talk about this show, which I gotta say, this pilot is awesome, man. So it starts off many years before 1891. Probably, I'll say probably 70s, probably. And we see like a little girl, or maybe 1860s, who knows? I don't know how old Vanessa is. Anyway, so we see a little girl. She's laying in bed, her mom's beside her, mom gets up. And so like her mom goes to use like the little potty and everything. And so, and it's the old school kind where basically you sit on like a big box with a hole in it and you poop in it. And then you take the poop and you throw it outside. And so she's there, and there's a giant window behind her. And I guess it's the, let the scent out. Because they didn't have the vents and stuff back then. And then all of a sudden, something grabs the woman as she's taking a poop, or maybe she's peeing, and it just pulls her through like the window, and we don't know what the world happens to her after that. So she's gone. The little girl gets up, and the little girl's like calling out for her mom and can't find her. Then it cuts to their present day of 1891, and we see a woman at a church, and it's completely empty except for like a cross and on a wall, and we see this woman on her knees in a black dress. We don't see the back of her head because she's crouched over, and she's praying extremely fast. And it turns out to be Vanessa, but we don't know who she is by now. And she's just praying and praying and praying. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, this is in it. Like, I love the cinematography in this. I love the direction. I love how it's just a big empty room. You don't see much of the church. All you see is a wall with a cross on it, and you just see this woman dead center in the middle, and she's just praying real fast, and she's dressed all in black. I'm just thinking to myself, what is going on? So as the woman is praying faster and faster and faster, the camera pans around her, and we see finally her face, and it's our main protagonist, Vanessa, but we don't know her name's Vanessa just yet. And as she's looking up, she sees like a single spider crawling from that cross on the wall from what I thought was a church, but it's not a church. It's actually like the little apartment building that she lives in. And then all of a sudden, her eyes like roll back, and she starts like spazzing out. And it's like she's having like convulsions or something like that, or a seizure. There's something truly strange just like going on with this woman, but I don't know what just yet. And it's just really strange and weird and eerie and just creepy and stuff. And the way Ava like performs it is just like amazing. It cuts to kind of like this carnival show, and there's like a man, an American man. His name is Ethan, and he's wearing like a wig and a fake mustache, and he's one of those sharpshooter type guys. And so he's wowing the crowd and everything with his amazing tricks and like hitting every target because he's a marksman. And so as we look at the audience, because they're just like all in excitement, we see one person in particular just sitting in the middle. Everybody else is around her. She's decked out in black, the same woman who was praying, and she just has this look on her eyes, and she's staring down Ethan. And what's so amazing about this scene, and what I love about Eva so much, and that she does so good, is her stares. See, what happened is, as Ethan was going left, he was going right, shooting like targets. The crowd kept turning their head left, and they kept turning their head right. But Vanessa stayed in the center, stiff as a board, just staring them down. And that was just like so cool and everything. So he's doing his thing, and then we see him clickety clacking a woman and everything. And then so she's all like, "Will I ever see you again?" And he's all like, "Well, don't you even want to know my name?" And he just walks off like a pimp. And then the next scene, he's at a bar, and here comes Vanessa, and she walks in, and we still don't know her name by now. And so like she's asking him, "Are you an adventurous man? Are you like a brave man? And how would you like to make something worthwhile of your life? And I need help with an assignment and everything, and meet me at this certain time, and blah 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 blah." And he's all like, "What do you want me to do? Do you want me to kill somebody?" And I forget her reply. I think she said, no, she said like, "Does it matter?" And so he hasn't said yes yet, but he's all like, "I'll say yes if you smile." And she gives a grin. It's like a smirk. Don't even show no teeth. It's creepy and cute at the same time. And this is why I love this actress, man. And then so as she's walking off, he's all like, do you have a name? And she's all like, yes. And then she just keeps walking off and don't even tell him her name. But what's even more interesting is that before she walks off, she does her famous thing that she did in Casino Royale, is where she reads him. Like she just looks at him and she can just tell what kind of man he is. Similar to what she did to James Bond in the movie. I love that scene. I'm so glad they recreated it for this. So later on that night, he goes to the location that she tells him to go to. And so like it's a part of Chinatown in London. I didn't know they had Chinatown in that part. Anyway, so he goes inside and he meets with her and he meets with another man named Malcolm. And he has no idea who this Malcolm man is. I still don't know if she even told what's his face her name in a way yet. But so like Malcolm tells him, do you have your gun with you? And he's all like, whatever you see in there, do not hesitate and stuff. And you must keep a sharp eye and everything. And so they're going more and more down. And as they surveying everything, they see like a group of men. This group of men look kind of weird. They're slightly pale. And then something happens where Vanessa just walks off and she's looking for somebody. And then so like she's looking for something. And then all of a sudden, those men start to attack. And then so like the fight is on, and so Ethan, he's like shooting left and right. Malcolm is fighting as well. And then so as the battle is going on, we see Vanessa. She goes into her room, and I think I forget who she sees. I think it's like a woman on the ground with kind of like whitish looking hair and red eyes or something like that. And so like she's just still looking for somebody, and those men show up. So then all of a sudden, like Malcolm and Ethan, they come in and they handle those men. But then we start to see bodies and bodies, corpses piled up on one another, bloody, having their insides ripped out and everything. And so like Ethan is just kind of like, what the heck is going on, and who was those strange things back there? And they still won't necessarily tell him. And then as she's looking at one of the victims on the ground, they have two puncture holes in their neck. Now you know what that means. Vampires. And then all of a sudden, they keep asking, is she here? And Malcolm's all like, I don't see her and stuff. And so then they like grab the woman by the neck and they're all like, where is she? And the woman really won't tell. So they kill her. And then all of a sudden, something starts to move in the pile of bodies. It's like a hand. And so Ethan goes over there. And then when he goes over there, he sees a rat come out. And so he's like, oh, okay, it must be that. But then all of a sudden, the freakiest thing comes out. It's like a vampire monster thing. His body's been like singed a little bit. It's all like bald, and it's a vampire, and it's trying to like attack Ethan, and they're trying to attack the people. So they eventually kill it. And Ethan's just kind of like, what in the world just happened? So before they leave there, they take this the vampire monster. The body is still like intact, and they take it to some kind of seedy underground place that's still in Chinatown. And this place has like a bunch of surgeons, and they're like, cutting like body parts open and examining them and studying them and learning how to do stuff like that. Man, you know how like there's no human testing, like there's voluntary human testing nowadays, and you're not allowed to test on animals and stuff. Boy, could you imagine all the animals and all the peoples that been cut open in the name of medical science back in the day? Like, it will surprise you. So they go to this one man. He doesn't want to be bothered. He said, go to my assistant. They go to the assistant. He's in a room all by himself. And so he's this smug, arrogant kind of man. He doesn't want to like deal with them. He's busy like examining an arm. And as they're talking, they're like, they need his help and stuff. And they're still looking for that woman, by the way. And so, well, it turns out the woman is Malcolm's daughter. And so as he keeps trying to like shun them and everything, they pull back the blanket sheet to show what this body they want him to examine is. It's the vampire body. He is shocked and amazed. He stops doing what he's doing. And then he starts cutting open the vampire body. And then when he's peeling back the skin, there is hieroglyphics edged underneath the skin of the vampire. So it's a huge mystery, and they don't know why. But him being like, I love the way this dude talks. Like, he's very clever. He's like, you have a man. He has like extra set of muscles and fang-like teeth and something eyes, and he has hieroglyphics inside his chest cavity and stuff and everything. And it's insane, man. So now they're trying to figure out like this new piece of like the puzzle. Maybe it's not a hotel. Maybe it's like a mansion. So anyway, they go there, and the butler dude shows up. I remember the butler dude from Harlots. He's a really good actor. So Ethan goes in, and he can't find Malcolm, and he sees Vanessa, and Vanessa's all like, "Oh, well, you know Malcolm isn't here. You can speak to me." I'm thinking to myself, I'm surprised nobody mentioned that back in those days, women didn't have that authoritarian type right. So I'm surprised Ethan didn't say nothing about that. So I do like how they made her like a strong character, like they always do in everything she's in. And then so like she's reading him again, and he's like kind of like reading her, and then she's doing like these tarot card reading type things. I completely forget what they even talk about, to be completely honest with you, and stuff. But he's talking about like, you know, getting paid and all this other stuff, and so she tells him like, you know, they still like need him and like all this other thing. So like, yeah, he complies and stuff. Towards the middle, that's when things starts to slow down in the episode. So like, we have Malcolm and we have Vanessa. They go to like a historian about Egyptian stuff, and he's trying to translate the thing. First, he's all happy and excited. Then he gets spooked by something, and he no longer wants to read it. And I think he talks about something about there's gonna be like a gentleman's party or something like that, and he'll meet him there or something like that. And he tells them why he won't finish reading the rest of it, because it's the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the hieroglyphics that they found inside that vampire. So Malcolm has like a tuxedo delivered to Frankenstein, and he attends the party. He's there to proposition him. He wants Frankenstein to join his team. Frankenstein does not want to do that. And so like, and then, you know, Dr. Frankenstein asks him straight up, why you want me? He's all like, because you was willing to unpeel the skin when you saw the vampires and nobody else would. And so he thinks about it, you know. Now with Curtis or Cliff or what is his name, Curtis I think, we see him standing in the street and he's looking at the home of like Malcolm and Vanessa. And he's just like, you know, staring at it, and he's looking at her looking through the window. And when she read his tarot card a while back, it showed that he has the card of the lover. Now later on in the series, he turns into a werewolf. We get a strange scene like with Malcolm daughter shows up, and then it's kind of like, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if she's a spirit or a demon or what, but then she freaks out and then she disappears. So then we get like some chatting with Vanessa and Malcolm, and Vanessa's telling him how like she feels responsible for what happened to Malcolm's daughter, because they used to be friends. Basically what happened was they was friends growing up. They had difference of religion, but they still stayed friends. And then Vanessa did his daughter's like boyfriend or fiance or something like that, and then their friendship ended. And then something demonic happened to her and she disappeared. We get another scene of Vanessa praying. This time she's not wearing black, she's wearing like white or something like that. And that place she was praying at before, it's not a church, it's just their home. So it's like an empty room with a cross on the wall, and then all of a sudden all these like spider bugs starts coming from like the cross as she's praying like really fast. Then it ends with Dr. Frankenstein going back to his home, and he's going into a secret lair, and in that lair is his laboratory, and he has a dead body gray on like some ice and some electrical stuff. He's trying to power his his device, and a huge lightning storm hits. It knocks his power out. when the lights go back on, the dead body is now gone. And he sees it standing up. And there it is, his creature, his Frankenstein monster is now risen from the dead. And the skin tone turns back to like, like a white person's skin tone. It used to be gray. And it just ends with the Frankenstein monster staring at him. And Dr. Frankenstein staring back at the monster. And Frankenstein touches the doctor's cheek because he's crying. And then he puts it to his. And it's a very odd, weird, interesting scene. Now, his Frankenstein monster doesn't look like the traditional one you see like in a Halloween costume. It just looks human. And it ends. And, like I said before, I really love this pilot. Like, the pilot was really good, but I just could not get into the rest of the series. I might attempt later, but I just couldn't get into it to save my life. But I still think it was intriguing to have like monsters and vampires and stuff back in the old Wild West days, Now, wasn't that spooky? All right, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.